All right, guys, welcome to episode 98 of the Endless Endeavor podcast. And every time I do a solo episode, I receive a lot of people saying, do more of those, do more of those. And it's, initially, like I've always told you guys, it's kind of bizarre because I'm just sitting in a bedroom talking to myself. But people like hearing different people's perspectives. And if I've created the outlet to be able to do that and people enjoy it, yeah, I'll bring you more solo episodes. So it actually works out well because I'm leaving for Guns and Geese Class 5, which starts Thursday. And it's cool to be able to incorporate these as opposed to always planning guests, because I don't like the Zoom thing. And I've articulated that a lot on the show. I don't think you can do an authentic podcast over a computer. You can do a good one and you can learn a lot. And I've listened to plenty of podcasts that are of that platform. And I've been on podcasts that are that platform. But for me personally, I think I get the most out of this when I'm sitting in a room looking across the table from someone, and it starts to become logistically difficult sometimes with everybody doing their thing. So, all right. Well, I hate to say this, but the Vortex Optics episode did not take place when we were up in Wisconsin. The truth was that trip was such a turn and burn trip. We stayed for 2 nights and there was a lot to see and a lot to talk about there. And so I will definitely be spending more time up there in the near future, and I will definitely get that episode recorded because talking to Seamus, who's the president, that story is pretty fascinating. And some of the people were there from the beginning are there to this day. And it's cool to kind of hear the progression of where they started to where they are. But I'm not going to go into that too much. I want them to tell that story, and I'm going to save that for another day. I would like to talk about, though, just like when I went down to First Forum headquarters and I got to feel that culture, and I got to see what it's like to have a leadership portion of an organization have all of the respect and admiration from their subordinates. And it's interesting to see, like, when leaders run a company in a manner where they put the people first, then you find that the people are happy to be there. And it's shocking to me that most agencies and organizations haven't seen this, because when I was down at First Form, it was pretty fascinating. Everybody was happy. Everybody looked you in the eye and shook your hand and was excited to meet you and just respected you. And here's the thing, like, if you got a boss like Andy and Sal Frisella, you better show people that you respect them when they bring in people that they consider friends, right? But this is what I'll say. You could tell it was genuine. It wasn't like, oh, my bosses are here. So you see that in people's faces. You can see that in their eyes. Every person I met there was genuinely happy to be a part of that organization, to be a part of that team. And so when I went up to Vortex, and actually Sal Frisella is who introduced me to Seamus, I didn't know what to expect, but I had suspicions that it would be a similar culture. And so, when I got there, me and Seamus had talked back and forth via text and email and stuff, but I didn't really know him as a person. And I got to sit down and immediately I saw another person in a leadership position that knows how to take care of people first. And, they asked me in Lappin the night before, they said, hey, you guys want to come in early and get a workout in? And it's like, yeah, of course we do. So we got there. We got there about an hour early. They let us in and we were walking down the hallway. We're with the president of the company. And there is an elderly woman like scrubbing the bathroom floors. And they have, I think, close to 500 employees. So this isn't like a little 20-person company where everybody knows each other. And Seamus peeks his head in and goes, good morning, Rose. And they had a little conversation, and he brought something up to her about a bike race that she was going to be attending in the next week or something like that. And that was like my first interaction with the company. He just let us in. We're walking down a hallway, and he peeks into this bathroom that's propped open and starts talking to this elderly woman. And that was like right there, 15 to 20 seconds into the building. I realized like, yep, these are my people, because I cannot tell you how many times, and this is the government. So my adult life, I've worked for the government, and anyone that works for the government will tell you that this is the absolute truth. We have teams of, I think they're Ethiopian women, and some of them are Somali women that barely speak English. And that is who takes out your trash. That's who scrubs your toilets. And most of these people are treated like lower class citizens. Like there's no relationship between the chief of police and the elderly Ethiopian woman that scrubs the floors of the common area. And that's probably due to a lot of reasons, but one of it is due to leadership in many organizations, both in corporations and agencies, at this point in time, have had little leadership that wants to know its people. That's never an emphasis on leadership anymore. It's wanting to know your people. And if you want to know your people, you're going to give them value. And that is exactly why you should want to know them. Knowing them is going to give them a level of importance. It's going to tell them that this person cares about me. This person is invested in me. Because at the end of the day, we're all social creatures, and it can be a friendship, it can be a relationship, or it can be the relationship between a supervisor and a subordinate. And if you find yourself in a place where the people that are above you care about you, man, the rest is easy, right? I mean, we can negotiate problems, and we can have our ups and downs, and we can have our disagreements and all the things that you probably will have with your boss from time to time. But if you know in your heart that person cares about you before anything else, you know that you're going to be okay, because they'll figure out a way to take care of you. And so when we walk by that bathroom and he starts talking to her, not just a good morning, but, and then he brought up some stuff a little later about her bike race. And I was like, this guy wants to know his people. Like that is one of the most important things as somebody in a leadership position. And I can tell you, like, being a jiu-jitsu coach, that is a leadership position. And I don't really look at it as that, but the reality of it is you're directing a bunch of people to do something and help them grow and help them achieve and help them build this skill set. And they're looking to you for the answers. So I guess by definition, you are a leader. And, we're at 185 students now. And I think about that. One of my coaches, Coach Tyler, has a gift to know so many people, to know them by name and recognize them and know something about them. And I've been struggling because as we grow and we grow and we grow, you get 3 new kids one week and 4 new kids the next. And then on the third week, you get 3 more. And it's like, I haven't been able to get to know the other kids that have already signed up a week or 2 ago. And it's important because, again, if you call them by name, they are going to feel validated, feel like they're being seen. And that's something that we always, Tyler just has that naturally in him, but it's something that I strive to do and I think about. And so the other things that I'll say about Vortex before I save the most of it for our episode that we will do with them in the coming months, I suspect. But they have the culture that is created, like I just spoke of. But because of that, the productivity, the way that they treat their customers, the way that they handle returns and warranty issues. Like when you're dealing with people that are surrounded by positivity, and like you saw on my Instagram post a day or two ago, every day at Vortex is bring your dog to work day. And I'm not exaggerating. There's probably 100 dogs in the building at any time. As you walk around, everybody has their dog there. And all of the good culture that gets built, man, that carries over to the consumer too. And I've had so many people write me and be like, hey, I heard this story about Vortex, and I brought some of them up when we were there, and they're true. Meaning, like, you can take your binos or your optic, and you can be out shooting, and let's just say you're having a shitty day and you're getting frustrated, and you get so mad at your gun that you take a sledgehammer to the optic. You can literally call Vortex and say, I got really pissed at my optic and I smashed it with a hammer, so I'm going to need a new one because it broke. And this is kind of the mindset behind that. It's, for the amount of people that are going to take advantage of you for giving an absolute phenomenal warranty, we will replace or repair our optics under all circumstances. If you give that opportunity to everybody, 99.9% of people are going to get a hold of you if there's a problem or an accident. And by serving all of them and giving them value as customers for the onesies and twosies that are going to do the crazy shit like that, that's a win all day, right? And so, and I'll tell you this is kind of the last thing that I'll say on the optics side of the house. When I was in the Rangers and I was with these different organizations from, basically 99 to 2009. That was my decade of being operational with the military and paramilitary units. We were running Trigicon and we were running Aimpoint. And then EOTech came on scene. And for glass, Leupold was always one of the heavy hitters. Dude, Vortex knows the value of these companies. And they know that they make good stuff. And that is why Vortex is rapidly becoming the gold standard in the industry, because they see and understand how many good companies are putting out good quality stuff. And if you want to be viable in today's market, you better be right up there with the rest of them. And so they got a late start to the game. A lot of these companies have been around a lot longer to them. And some of their new optics, I would challenge anyone, like their Gen 3 Razor that Seamus put on my Geisley. Find me a better piece of glass. It's fascinating to me to see how a newer company jumped in the deep end, and now they're on every front. And then here's the other thing, there are some high quality long range scopes, like what is it, Night Force, or I forget the other company that is in the back of my mind, but they only build. That's their focus. Those companies focus on long range glass. Vortex does it all, and they do it all pretty fucking good. And I shouldn't say pretty good, pretty fucking great. And it's cool that we now have a partnership with them, and they're going to be part of the Guns and Geese program moving forward. And I'm excited to see where this relationship goes, because good fucking people, good fucking product. And that's what it's all about, right? All right. Enough on Vortex. Let's go over just some stuff. Everybody likes my ranting episodes where I just go fucking nuts, and those are fun to do sometimes. I'm just not feeling super ranty, but that doesn't mean there's not a bunch of bullshit going on to unpack and to think about and to not get triggered by. I always like to say that caveat is like, if we're sharing media and sharing perspectives and it's getting you mad, even if you agree with me, if you agree with what I say and fucking Biden, man, that cortisol starts pumping, and that's tough to manage. And I'm not saying that I'm the best at managing it, but I think about it and I want to educate myself without fucking giving myself arterial sclerosis. So the one thing that I think is really important right now is if you look at politics, if you look at what's happening with this administration, midterms are coming up, and we're seeing them behave in a very different manner than we've seen them behave previously. Now, I'm not saying Biden himself, because he doesn't even know how to behave anymore. He just kind of stumbles around and stammers and fucking, I don't even know what the word is. Is he babbling? You can barely understand it. But the people that are pulling the strings, the people that are above him, his puppet masters, you know, they really pulled back on the COVID stuff in a hurry too. Like, COVID is a thing of the past around here, even in Seattle, just like that. The last thing was the airlines. That was, you know, still a pretty fucking burdensome thing to do, is go travel and have to deal with all the bullshit. You know, literally the last time I traveled, I went through the metal detector, and the TSA guy goes, and this was like a week ago, he goes, "You're going to have to go through again, sir." I said, "It didn't beep. What are you talking about? You didn't have a mask on, and you can't go through the metal detector unless you have a mask on." And I said, "So this metal detector is no longer looking for metal. It's looking to find if people are maskless. Is that the purpose of it? Because if I have to go through again in order, and you need to make sure that I have a mask when I go through, is this mask compliance? Or is this looking for metal?" And obviously I didn't articulate it fully like that, because I just wanted to get the fuck out of there. But I told him, I was like, "Are you telling me that your machine is looking for mask, or that's a necessary aspect of looking for metal?" And just with that little statement, he goes, "Yeah, just go on. You're good. Just next time, please wear a mask." And then my bag gets flagged for an additional search, which happens every single time I travel. And he's, I can't search your bag until you have a mask on, because it's a rule at this airport. And kind of saying it to me like he's in charge, even though he was just a complete fat fucking pussy. And I flew out, and when I flew back 48 hours later, the mask mandate had been lifted. And suddenly no one said anything. No one cared about anything. It's fucking ridiculous. All you stupid motherfuckers in TSA that pretended like it was so important, like both you fat pussies that addressed me last week, and now you don't care this week. It's not because suddenly safety has changed. It's because you knew it was bullshit, and you were just doing it because people told you to do it. And that is the entire fucking problem with our country right there. If you know it's bullshit, call it out for bullshit. If you think that it's bullshit, look into it. But you can still call it out and say, "I think this is bullshit." Like, everybody fucking doing what they're told is what brought us to where we were at. And like, you can blame the governor said this, and my mayor said I had to do this, and you can point the blame at everybody else. But the real blame is you, motherfucker. Look at yourself in the mirror. If you're upset about any of these restrictions or all the bullshit, it's because you allowed it. And, you know, here I am going off on a tangent when this wasn't the point of today's episode. But you brought this on yourself by allowing these motherfuckers to do all this stuff. And then we're here. But I feel like everybody was getting mad and frustrated. Like, it was palpable. Even these far left cities, you could tell it's like, even we've had enough. We've had enough. And apparently the powers to be either knew that it was time to redirect our focus, or knew that it was necessary to let us just let them breathe for a little bit. Let them relax. Let them think they're good before we hit them with their next thing, which is another wave of COVID, or a cyber attack, or they're going to kill the power grid. Like, the next thing's coming. We don't know what that is, but the next thing is coming. But what they do is, to circle back to the whole reason I brought this up, they want you to feel like, I can relax now. COVID's gone. Like they stop harping on all the stuff for just long enough. So when midterms come around and primaries are happening right now, when these are happening, people are like, you know what? Things are getting better. Things are getting better. The Build Back Better is working. It was hard at first, and our economy took a hit, and gas prices suck, and the grocery stores are empty. But now that I don't have to have a mask on, I feel kind of good, and maybe it is better. Like, you motherfuckers are going to let them trick you into thinking they did anything. And all they did was muzzle you first and then unmuzzle you when it was beneficial to them. And I don't know if this is nationwide or statewide, but Washington State has went back and forth on the mask mandate. I don't know. It was 3 times now. And so there's been like, mask mandate is lifted, or mask mandate is back. Mask mandate is lifted. And you go into stores, and on the day that mask mandate is lifted, it's lifted. And nobody, including the employees, are wearing a mask. And then the next day, when it's back in place because of how dangerous it is out there, the air is fucking dangerous, it's time to mask back up, then everybody's masked again. Everybody. I've talked about it before. The most disobedient group, at least in my community, is women aged 35 to 60. I saw a lot of ladies out there that were saying, fuck you. But everybody just did it. And it's fucking shocking. So here they are. They lifted it again, right as primaries are going on and midterms are going to happen here in the near future. And if you vote for these fucking people that have absolutely raked you over the coals and destroyed your lives and destroyed people's ability to spend time with their loved ones, they've caused people to fall into addiction. They've caused people to fall into depression. They're writing themselves $800 million checks 2 weeks that just is going to get shipped off to the Ukraine. And then it's going to get fucking laundered right back into their fucking pockets. You're crazy. Where do you get that information from? Well, I would advise you guys to, if you want to hear a fascinating podcast, listen to Andy Frisella's Real as Fuck when he had Eric Greitens on. Because Greitens was the governor of Missouri. And he talks about how he audited. This isn't a conspiracy theory. This is a government audit that was conducted by somebody inside the government that actually still had integrity. And somebody that actually thought maybe we should serve the American people as opposed to take from the American people. And he found that in their state infrastructure bill, 42 cents on the dollar from taxes obtained through this infrastructure bill were actually spent on infrastructure. What's infrastructure? Roads, bridges, buildings. Yeah. 42 cents on a dollar went to that kind of stuff. The rest of it, and this is provable. He has all the documents. The rest of it gets cycled back through and distributed to lobbyists and special interests, re-election campaigns. Oh, what? Our tax dollars are being spent to re-elect specific people? Like, that in itself should make you want to go to war. You're going to take from my fucking livelihood. You're going to take from my children. You're going to take from my small business. You're going to force me under threat of putting me into a cage to pay my money. And then you guys get to use it to get reelected? Do you know what should be getting you reelected? You should, especially once you're in office. Listen, when you're an outside person coming in and you got to get your name out there and you got to get seen, you need eyes on you. I know that's an expensive endeavor. Fucking Joe Kent's doing it right now. And I've followed some of his stuff talking about like the financial aspects of being a new candidate. But if you need to fucking have a bunch of funds to get yourself reelected, you probably didn't do your fucking job. Because if you did your job, that's going to speak for itself. And your constituents are going to feel and see and understand the differences that you made. And that should probably get you reelected. The fact that people take money from our fucking tax dollars to continue to build an empire for the corrupt and the elite, and we just sit here and take it, that's fucking insane. That's fucking insane. You know, you work, what is it? First 7 months of the year for the government. Or I've heard people say you actually work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday for the government. And Thursday, Friday for yourself. Think about that. Your whole fucking life where you get up, you go to work, you get told what to do. Many of you guys hate it. Many of you work for shitty people. Many of you are waiting for the day to do something different or walk away or retire. And that's the worst one. The ones that are waiting for retirement, because now you are stuck. You've convinced yourself you're stuck and you got to wait it out until retirement. Many of you guys are working your fingers to the bone, physically and emotionally, to contribute the majority of what your earnings are so they can have fucking $1 billion mansions and security for life and healthcare for life. They're exempt from all the bullshit and they get all the good shit. And people shouldn't be anything other than absolutely fucking irate over it. I mean, it's getting to the point where dragging them out into the streets might be the only option. You can't say that on your podcast. Okay. You know, I don't fucking care at this point, because the more of us that start talking about reality, maybe people will start to understand that, you know, like the saying goes, it's by the ballot or by the bullet. And the ballot doesn't seem to be fucking working very well. You know, you bring up election fraud at any level, you're a conspiracy theorist. Anything that has to do with fucking common sense or empowering people or giving people knowledge, they have attached negativity to it. And so if you think that the elections aren't authentic, it's because you're crazy. You're a Trumper. But if you are in alignment with what they push in their opinions, then you're a good little boy and it's all good. And you have nothing to worry about. And that's exactly what the fuck they want. And so as we lose over half of our fucking income to fucking serve this elitist class of just absolute garbage people, you got to ask yourself, when are we going to say enough is enough? I've ranted on this before on the show. You have to pay taxes on a car that you already paid taxes on every time you sell it. I've sold my 4Runner to a family friend that's like a son to me. You can't give that to him. What? I can't give my car to someone that I look at as family? I can't do that? Nope. Because the government doesn't like it. You know, the new gym is being built right now. And the new gym is going to be built as soon as Snohomish County says I can build it. I'm already in the project, $7,600, and I haven't even broken ground yet. There's literal engineer tape where I want the building to go. Go mark it where you want it, and then apply, and you pay this fee, and you pay that fee, and then you have to hire a specialist to put your documents together, because it's basically like speaking fucking Chinese just to put another building up in my field so we can lift weights in it. Yep, $7,600 just to submit documents and say, can I? And this is what they said. Expect a turnaround on this. You can't make this shit up. Expect a turnaround on this in 5 to 8 months. You get your answer in 5 to 8 months. And it'll literally be, okay, you're good now. 5 to 8 fucking months. And this should paint a picture to you guys of how out of touch the government is with reality. They cannot run anything with any type of efficiency or any type of understanding that I'm a small business. Okay? I didn't decide to build another facility by accident. And I certainly didn't do it because it's not necessary. I'm doing it out of absolute necessity. Between CrossFit and Jiu-Jitsu, we have 300 people now. 300 members in a facility this size is becoming difficult. And it's a good problem to have. So I'm not complaining about this. It's, growing your business. And my business was extremely small. And through some basic steps, I've been able to change the trajectory and watch it start to prosper. And it's really cool. And it's fun to learn how to be an entrepreneur and how to actually succeed standing on your own 2 feet. So this is a necessity for the new building. And because it's a necessity, well, now we're looking at a timeline. Projects need to happen in a timely manner. And the government it moves like pond water. Nothing gets done in a timely manner because nothing is based on merit. And the best performers don't get rewarded, and your top performers don't get promoted. Everything is done backwards, and it promotes laziness. And so that's the mindset that they approach when they're doing projects like this. To them, it's just, well, whatever, doesn't matter. And to me, it's actually imperative that we get this up. It's also imperative for those of you that do construction in the Washington State, Pacific Northwest. I need the slab poured at a minimum. And if I don't get that permit approval until October, well, I'm fucked until next year, because the ground is just saturated. It gets super wet, and it becomes very difficult to work construction, building foundations under those weather conditions. And so, yeah, it's crazy that on every front they're trying to fuck you, and we just keep taking it. I just want my battle axe to get here. So yeah, but the whole reason that we went down that rant to start with is because they're starting to lighten the restrictions a little bit on certain things, and it's to trick you into thinking life is a little better. Then they're coming back after you. So I hope this time around, people just start to say, fuck you. We've had enough. Andy Frisella talks about 80-20 split with Americans. And then that is the 80-20 is 80% of people are patriots and want to be left alone, live the life they want to live, have opportunity, be able to create, have freedoms. And then the other side are in line with these fucking radical elitists that are just the useful idiots doing what they're told and virtue signaling and being loud just because that's what their TV tells them to do, and they're brainwashed fucking robots. But if you look at the social media platforms or you look at the television, you would think it's the opposite of that. You would think that the men like Andy Frisella, the men like me that are speaking against this, you would think that we're the weird 20% and the rest of America is on board with Build Back Better. But that's because it's propaganda. They have used their control inside of the media, inside of the social media, and they have led people to believe that things are not as they seem. And it's cool to me. It feels like podcasting is the last platform where you can say whatever the fuck you want, and they haven't quite figured out how to shut us up yet. And I have no doubt that that day will come, like YouTube has. YouTube fucking, anytime I say anything on YouTube that violates their community standards, I get the warning. This video is deleted and you're now at risk of having your YouTube deleted. Well, fuck YouTube. If you don't like what we have to say, delete my shit and people will start to consume their stuff elsewhere. But yeah, that's the reality of it. Is that we are the majority. We know we're the majority. By a lot, not by a little. And when I say we, I'm not even talking about conservatives or liberals or blacks or whites or gays or straights. I'm not talking about that. When I say we, I'm literally talking about Americans. Americans that want those same things that I just spoke of, to feel like they have good security and peace in their communities, to feel like they can pursue a goal, to feel like they can count on their kids getting a good education. Being part of a society that is economically successful enough that you can afford the necessities of life, like fuel and steak. Yeah, both of those things, because my life revolves around those two things often, are absolutely outrageous right now. Most people just want their lives to be able to operate and not be in this constant state of stress. But if they took the stress of COVID away, let's crank the heat up a little bit over here in a manner where they don't even really notice that we're keeping them in a state of stress. We'll tell them that, like they told us before winter, the storm of death is coming upon you or something stupid. And then literally nobody died, not one human being all winter. And then as soon as spring is here, like, okay, we can lift the COVID. Look at guys, you're going to have a nice summer. I'll go turn up inflation over here a little bit because they got to keep getting fucked somehow. And sure as shit, it was $178 to fill up my truck. Fill up my diesel, $178. And lingcod season starts next month, and I have no fucking clue what it's going to cost. I guess I could do a quick math problem, but I don't feel like it. My boat's tank is 162 gallons, or 165 gallons. And so, yeah, I get to experience that joy of going and filling that motherfucker up. And, before we move past this, the last thing that I'll say, and some people don't agree with me on this one, and maybe you still have loyalty to the government, but I fucking don't. It's like veterans shouldn't be applying for benefits unless they really, really need them. Because you're fucking over other veterans, or you're fucking doing this, or you should just feel bad. And it's like, fuck you. All right? No, it is not this veteran gets taken care of, so now this one can't. That's not how it works. If you fucking served and you feel like you were different in any capacity, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, fuck the government. They sent us to all their fucking bullshit wars. Yes, I was young. Yes, I volunteered. And yes, I wanted to fuck dudes up, and I loved it. So, I mean, yeah, I guess I can admit now I'm part of the problem. But I also didn't know any better. Ignorance is bliss. And If you feel like you deserve a fucking paycheck still for doing that, go apply for your benefits. And if anyone doesn't like it, just tell them fuck the government. When they're taking your money in every fucking corner that they can take it over all the shit that I just talked about. And you can go talk about your hurt back and then you can get a $350 check a month. Doesn't hurt my feelings at all. And if it hurts anybody else's feelings, think about how much you give them. Well, that's the VA, and they're only allocated this much. I don't give a fuck how they allocate their funds. I care how much they take. And they're fucking taking from us all at an extraordinary rate. I think I might do this. Actually, literally look when you add up all of the different taxes that you pay. Every time I sell a t-shirt online. Every time I sell a Jiu-Jitsu membership. Every time I sell a vehicle. Every fucking dollar that comes in and every fucking dollar that goes out. I want to go buy a bottle of water at the grocery store. 8 cents to the government. Oh, you're thirsty and you want to drink some water? 8 cents to the government. Oh, I'm hungry. I need to go get a salad. You know what I'm saying? Like, does this not start? Every single thing, dollar in, dollar out. They're fucking milking it on both sides. And not only milking it, but laundering it after they milk it from you and circling it back to themselves. And we're okay with it. We'll see. We'll fucking see. But, you know, one thing I want to talk about in this episode too is the American flag. And the reason I want to bring this up is because as I grew more and more distrustful of the government, you know, I wore that flag in service of that government. So my uniforms, both as a police officer and as a soldier, you know, you're representing America. You have the American flag. And it started to feel like, man, this flag represents the government. And this flag represents something that I'm not really down with anymore, something that doesn't feel good. And I started to move away from the flag, thinking, you know, like the Pledge of Allegiance and the flag and all this shit is part of serving this government that I don't trust anymore. But I was wrong. And I thought about, you know, I'll tell you where it started is Emily Hayden came up into Seattle and visited me. And one of the first things she said is like, on my front porch, like, where's your flag at? And I think I told her almost verbatim. I'm like, I don't know if I'm down with it anymore. And then I started thinking like, that's actually exactly what they want. They don't want you to have pride in your country, pride in the people you share this soil with. They don't want you to have a strong sense of community and love the people to your left and your right. Regardless, you know, my next door neighbor is from Tanzania. He's an immigrant and he has a crazy life story. He probably thinks I have a crazy life story, and we've always got along. That's America. And to me, the more that I think about this, I've realized like, I think I was wrong attaching negativity to it because of the government. The government brings their negativity to themselves. But that doesn't mean they get to take what represents America as a culture. And that's what the flag is. And we need to think about our identity as a people. Now the flag can just, you know, be symbolic for that. But I think it's important to think about and understand and practice is that flag represents unity. It represents hard work. It represents opportunity. It represents all the things that the generations that came before us laid the groundwork for so that we can enjoy. And that is the opportunity to live and learn and be peaceful and be happy and chase and pursue goals that serve your soul. You know, that's one thing that's just unique about this country. There's people out there that want to go study insects. There's people out there that want to be professional athletes. There's people out there that want to build rocket ships, put people in space. There's people out there that want to just become a fucking gorilla and inject steroids and lift weights and be a professional bodybuilder. And I don't say that pejoratively. I think that shit's cool. But my point is, you can take this life in so many fucking directions just based on the freedom to pursue you. And you know how many fucking people worldwide never get that opportunity? The majority of them. Especially when you're talking about countries like China and North Korea. You're told what to do. You're going to be this. Some people know what they're going to be when they're fucking 5 years old. They take you from your family. I watched a documentary on this. They will send scouts out to all the elementary schools. And they will look for kids that have natural talents in gymnastics. And they will take them. And they raise them in a gymnastics facility. And that's what they're going to do with their life, is be a professional gymnast. And the fucking families are like, it is an honor they chose my child. I wonder why they say that. Would it be an honor for you? And I'm not saying that the American culture is always correct. There are cultural differences, of course. But there is no cultural difference that would make you happy to have your children abducted from you. That violates not only mankind, that violates nature. In the most primal way, the bond between the mother and her cub. And there's governments that will just say, you know what, we don't give a fuck about that bond because we want to win in gymnastics. Give me your fucking kid. So if you think the governments can't get completely fucking out of control if you let them, okay, go watch that documentary because that's a government and they're doing that to its people. It's not an opinion. That's not some conspiracy theory. That's happening as we speak. Nobody cares. That's okay. No, that's just how they do it over there. It's their culture. No one would ever do something that dangerous or that fucking hurtful here in America, though. Because our government is based on freedom and democracy. We voted them in. You see the point that I'm trying to tie together here? If we let them get out of control, they will become that. Because that is what they want. And they just slowly chip away at it until one day we'll self-censor ourselves so much. We'll be too afraid to point anything out. We'll be too afraid to say anything. We'll be too afraid to have any type of resistance. We might even be too afraid to become strong physically. Because like I said last week, working out makes you a white supremacist. We're going to self-censor ourselves into mass compliance. Think about what a genius plan that is. That they are going to use the powers of manipulation and propaganda to make you behave in a certain manner that makes you so weak that you censor yourself to such a point where you basically overthrow yourself. They never had to fire a bullet. They never had to have us rounded up and put into cages. We just marched in willingly. That's what people are doing right now. Are you going to march in willingly? Because marching into the camp willingly started with you not saying, hey, that feels fucked up because I might offend someone. That's where it started. You can't speak out against these certain things because they've deemed them to be put up on a pedestal. You can't speak out against BLM. You can't speak out against transgender women in sports. You can't speak out against this. You know, depending on the week, you can't support police officers until they saved the Capitol. Then the police officers are America's best and brightest. But my whole point is they dictate your speech. Once they dictate your speech, they dictate what you do. I've always been fascinated by motherfuckers that walk into concentration camps. Walking in. There's 55 people and 4 guards with guns. And in they walk. Guys, this is statistics. This is statistically proven in violent crime. Is that if you were getting abducted, the time to fight is now. Go talk to any FBI fucking statistics nerd and start looking into abduction cases. The time to fight for survivability to be the most likely outcome is now. Some guy grabs you and goes, shh, listen, if you say anything, I'll fucking kill you. The time to fight is now. Because the likelihood that he actually will kill you goes up exponentially the longer you are under his control. So fight now. Kill me now if you have to. And fuck off later, regardless of the outcome. Right now, the U.S. government snatched you up from behind you, has their hand over your mouth, and they're saying, shh, if you do anything else, it's bad things are going to happen. So just be cool. You understand? You be cool. That's the phase that we're in of this abduction. And statistically, the longer it goes on, the worse it fucking gets for you. So is the time to fight right now? Is the time to speak up right now? Are we going to take the summer off being vigilant against fucking tyranny because they've decided to give us our summer back? It's not a summer of severe death. I think we're going to have a pretty good summer. Again, let them empower themselves over the next fucking 4 months leading into the elections. Because as soon as they get what they want back, or they meet a certain fucking expectation on the outcomes of the re-election or the midterm elections, as soon as the powers to be are content with where they're at again, you're fucked. And the only way to not be fucked is to see at any and all costs that these motherfuckers don't get back in next year. That's it. And the presidential election, the 2024 election's coming up as well. Like, we have to make sure on every level that these motherfuckers do not get back in. And I know it's fucked right now because people are distrustful of election outcomes, as am I. So why even fucking vote? Well, that's a good question. Because if you're living in a place where you feel like your votes are being manipulated, it's hard to say. Like, that's a tough question. If it's all bullshit, why take part in the bullshit? Well, I would say take part in it simply out of maybe. simply out of maybe there are going to be the right people watching and overseeing this time around. Maybe they won't be able to sweep as much under the rug because there's more eyes on them. And maybe your vote will count and it will make a change. And I'll say this, before we wrap up, midterms are coming up in November, but primaries are happening right now. Take the time to see and vote for the people that you do want to see succeed when the actual election comes up. Because if you don't, perhaps the best candidate won't be on the ticket. The big machine has a great way of preparing everybody through the primaries and whatnot, because they have this shit down to a science. And they know how to play the long game. But the normal people like Ian Smith and Joe Kent and Tony Cowden and people that I consider friends, they don't have all the ins and outs of how this corrupt machine just keeps churning and churning and churning. Or they may have an understanding of it, but they don't have the manpower or the resources to fight it on every single level. So it's up to us to talk about who the good candidates are, the people that actually want to see this country succeed, and then go through the process, through the primaries, and make sure we get the right men and women on the tickets. Because there's fucking corruption on both sides. You know, I became just friends through Instagram with a guy named Robbie Starbuck. And we talked back and forth a little bit because my story was blowing up as he was starting to want to go into politics. And he's pursuing that. And he's pursuing it aggressively. And I guess it was just last week that he was told that the GOP is not going to support him as their candidate, even though he was ahead on the polls. So think about that. And that's because he's a radical right-wing wacko, because he thinks about things in a manner that most of us think about things. You know, applying common sense. But if common sense hurts the agenda, you're fucking out of there. And so shit like that is happening. Or they'll redistrict a place and be like, oh, well, we need this many over here, and we're going to put a congressional seat here and take one from there. Like they're doing all of this shit to constantly try and keep control of everything. And so it's important that we keep an eye on that stuff as well. All right, guys, we're at an hour. I got shit to do. I got to pack up for guns and geese. I got to take my daughter's four-wheeler in to get fixed that just broke. I guess that's four-wheeler life. So I've been told. But the last thing I'll say is this. Commit to self-improvement this week. Regardless of how much or how little. What I'm finding is the most powerful group of people that you can share time with are people that want to be better tomorrow than who they are today. And I've found that to be most apparent at our Guns and Geese camp, because we have 30 people that come from all different backgrounds and all different skill sets. You got some people that are out of shape. You got some people that are phenomenal athletes. You got some people that can fucking drive tacks with their pistol. And there's some people that's the first time they've picked up a gun. But through all those different skill sets and abilities, everybody is there because they want to be better. I'm going to answer a call real quick. And he's going to say, hello. Mitch, we're on the air and I'm recording. So go ahead and tell me what you have to say real quick, and then I'm going to have to let you go.
Oh, nice. What's up, everybody, at the Endless Endeavor podcast? And stay tuned, because the Greg, and Mitch show, episode 2, is coming to you live May 14th.
Fuck yes, it is. No, that's a great, dude, that's a great thing to put out, because We are doing the Police Week seminars out in DC. Yeah, give them a little feedback because this will come out before that event. And if people want to go to it or support it or just what it is.
Okay, yeah. So myself, Greg Anderson, and Greg Lappin will be teaching a jiu-jitsu seminar at Police Week, May 14th. And it's going to be an awesome event. And we're partnering up with 2 other charities and going to be teaching jiu-jitsu all day and rolling with people and potentially talking to some members of Congress about making some legislation to make jiu-jitsu mandatory for police officers because, you know, the data is out there and it shows that the officers that train, you know, have less deadly interactions and less just physical altercations in general, which we've talked about ad nauseum essentially. You know, the more confident and more trained you are, the less likely you are to even need to use that, you know, and it comes off in your posture and in your confidence and everything. And you know, the person on the other side of you can sense that. And you know, so it's all good stuff. If you're interested or in the area of DC and that time, stop by, show your support, get some rolling in with us. And yeah, we're excited. And that's what I was calling you about, is because I got to buy you tickets to come out for that.
Fuck yeah.
So yeah, just give me a call later, and we'll hammer out the logistics.
All right, man. Sounds good. I'm going to wrap this up shortly, and I'll call you in a little bit.
All right. Later.
Bye. All right. There you have it, guys. We'll wrap it up with a phone call from Mitch Smashin' Frog Aguiar himself. Hope you enjoyed the show, guys. Headed out to Guns and Geese. We're going to get some good episodes down there with those guys. And then, like Mitch said, the following weekend is the Greg and Mitch show.